This is the FitFems movement. Have you felt overwhelmed with your fitness journey and feel like you just want to give up? Are you a busy female professional or entrepreneur looking for weight loss and self-care solutions that you can squeeze into your hectic schedule? Then you're in the right place. Let's get inspired to make fitness and healthy living improve rather than consume your life. Together, we'll take major strides towards a happier, healthier, even wealthier you. I'm Julia Hickman, your host and coach. Hello, ladies. Welcome back to another episode of the FitFems movement. Julia here, fitness coach, lifestyle coach for busy career women. And today I have with me Heather Szasz, and I can't wait to talk with her because she is going to be dropping some knowledge, and especially if you are a dog owner or thinking about becoming one. I feel like you're going to get a lot of value out of this episode. So Heather is a professional dog trainer, and she really blends her experiences of life coaching and 13 years of professional dog training. She guides her clients as they learn to identify that often what we think is the cause of behavioral issues with our dogs is actually far from the truth and has nothing to do with the challenge. Heather, through transformational techniques, helps dog owners create the ultimate relationship with their dogs. Heather, welcome to the FitFems movement. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started doing what you're doing.
So originally, I'm from England. And so it started off in England many years ago when I had my first dog, which was an Airedale Terrier. In fact, I haven't seen one of those for quite a few years. And I was training with a gentleman there and then moved to Florida and didn't have a dog. I had to leave my dogs behind, unfortunately, and went on a completely different pathway. Opened up a cleaning business, which was nothing to do with dog training. And then I got into just exploring myself, transformational, taking courses, and realized, wow, I really enjoy this. It's great to see myself and others transform. So then I went into life coaching. At the same time, got my first dog in Florida. And then I sold my cleaning business and said, what do I really want to do? Like, really want to do? And I decided to become a dog trainer. Like, it was something that I'd left behind in England and then never picked it up. And you know what it's like. It's not the right time. As they say, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up, right? So apparently this student over here was ready for being dog trainer. And then I pursued the animal behavioral college. And that's how I became a dog trainer.
Wow, interesting. I love that story, and very similar to mine. I feel like, we have the thing that we do, the thing that we've been good at, the thing that we've been busy growing. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, is this what I want to continue doing? Do I want to go in a completely different direction? But I feel like for many people, I mean, for myself, I feel like there's always that, like, even if you end up doing something completely different, there's always something, there's always like a foundational piece that remains the same. And it's like so hard to explain, because I started out being a fitness, and I started out in corporate, left that job to become a fitness and lifestyle coach for women. And then now I just recently started a new business, and it was like, from a lot of the things that I learned becoming a coach, helping career women, helping entrepreneurial women. And then it was like, is this really what I want to take to the next level? And, it's like similar to you, it's like you're faced with that question sometimes, like, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up?
Right.
So very interesting. So can you tell us a little bit about, I don't have a dog right now. I love dogs. I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old kids.
Right.
So I would love for them to grow up with a dog. So can you give any, newbie dog owners or future dog owners any piece of advice as to like how to bring a pet into their lives, in a smart way, so that, there's minimal headaches for everybody, dogs included.
Well, yes. Yes. Well, I would say, like for yourself, obviously having a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old is not the right time to be bringing in a dog, right? Because you have enough on your hands already. And puppies and young children do not go together. It's like having an additional toddler around the house, right? And I explained to someone the other day, dogs go through this transition. They go from toddler to teenager in a year, which is a lot for us, right? Can you imagine if we had babies who did that? Maybe we wouldn't have as many children around, because to go through that whole transition of emotions and behaviors is a lot to deal with. So one is to realize that is what your first year is going to be. If you bring in a puppy, right? You're going to go from toddler to teenager
that
in a year.
I mean, it's like, duh, but I mean, can we just pause for a moment? Like, that's so true. It's so true. Yeah.
And, people get frustrated. So number one, it's knowing that you have the time for the dog and what the dog needs and what type of breed you get, right? Some dogs, you've got to be careful where you get them from. They're hunting dogs. They're true hunting dogs, or, they want to do herding. So you've got to be careful where you get your dog from. Make sure it's not from working parents, because then you've got a very high energy driven dog who's going to go nuts in your house if you can't give it what it needs. And if you're adopting a dog, I mean, if you have children, it's hard to adopt when you have children sometimes, because obviously they've got to be really good with kids. So, my suggestion is to have a puppy. It doesn't have to be 8 weeks old. It can be a little older, but you want to make sure that it's a good fit for your kids, because it's, it's hard to find an older dog that's really good with kids, unless you know. So I would say time, money, you've got vet bills, obviously, you've got to take those into consideration. What type of lifestyle do you want with your dog? Do you want a dog that goes to restaurants? It goes to dog parks? If it's that type of dog, then when you get a puppy, make sure it's a very confident dog. Because if it's not going to fit your lifestyle, then you're going to get frustrated, and then you're going to say goodbye to the dog. So there's a lot of homework before you get a dog, and what boundaries and what rules in the house. All the family should sit down and say, sofa, yes or no, bed, yes or no, right? Eating from the table, yes or no, right? So the whole family's involved.
Yeah, I mean, I can't, like, there's so many people that I've talked to who are like, oh, we swore that we would have no dogs on the furniture, or no dogs in this room, no dogs in that room. And everything goes out the window, later. So yeah, I think you're so right about having, like, really planning ahead of time and being like, okay, these are the things that we're really going to stick to. Maybe these are the things that we're going to be a little more lenient on. Yeah, and it's so true. And I laugh too, because before I had my daughter, we were like, I started looking at dogs to rescue. Couldn't find the right dog that was calling me, and then we had my daughter. So I'm glad, I feel like everything happens for a reason. Because I definitely could not imagine trying to do both right now. But I guess what is like a common maybe issue? Like, what do people what's one of the most popular things that people come to you for when they hire you?
So a lot of the time it's behavior issues. Obviously, if the dogs were fine, they wouldn't call me out. So it has to be an issue of some description. Usually, puppies, it's nipping, biting on them, biting on the furniture, biting, potty training, jumping, pulling on the leash, your common things. But sometimes it's because they've tried other methods and they haven't come to the solution of the problem. And that's where my different training comes in, where it's focusing on the owner and what the owner's bringing to the table. That's actually creating the problem over there. But those are usually the separation anxiety is another one, which with COVID is pretty bad, because, they've lived with they get these dogs and they live with them, they work from home, and then suddenly bye. And the dog's like, what? Where are you going? Yeah.
And like when somebody comes to you and let's just say it's a dog that barks a lot, for example, I'm just making this up. Do you have a process that you take the owner on to identify like the issue? Like what's your framework for helping people with their dogs?
So this is kind of cool because there's a story in Florida I have to share with you with barking, because most people think, dogs barking is a pain in the butt. Obviously, that's why they call me out. It's an expression. Dogs barking is an expression, and we see it as a behavior issue. But as humans, we bark, 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 bark when we're complaining, right? But we don't see it as a behavior issue. It's just us complaining.
Right.
But you have to stop my dog barking, so it's finding the source of why it's barking, and then which solution to it, because there's not one solution that fixes all dogs, basically. But I had this couple in Florida when I lived in Florida, and they had a miniature poodle, and that was the complaint. No other complaint. It barks, it barks, it barks, it barks. So I arrive at the house, and she's holding it in her arms, and I go in and it's barking at me. The husband appears and we sit down, and he looks straight at me and he says, "I hate this dog." And I'm like, "Thank you for being honest." He said, "I never thought I would hate a dog. I just hate the barking. I hate it. I hate it." So I ask a bunch of questions. When does the barking occur? It occurs when, there's a knock on the door, which is typical, of dogs. But if they're laying together, the husband and wife, it barks. When they're in the bedroom, it barks. And the more he kept telling me, the wife never said a word. She just sat there and looked at me, still holding the poodle. And this is the first time when I realized how much we impact our dog's behavior, because what came out of my mouth next blew me away. I just looked at her and I said, "Ma'am, you're using this dog to keep away from your husband." And she just looked at me. She never said a word. He looked at me and he said, "Are you a marriage guidance counselor?" And I said, "No," but apparently there was a rift in their relationship, and she was trying to hold back, and the dog was sensing it. So when we show negativity towards something or someone, the dog picks up on it and it actually verbalizes it. So he was saying what the wife wasn't willing to say. But I have to tell you, I gave them homework, and when I went back 2 weeks later, they were a different couple.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how we can impact our dogs. So that was a different side of the barking. It's not always going to be what the human isn't saying, but sometimes it is.
Yes. Wow. That's so powerful. And it's funny because I was just thinking it before when I made up the example of a dog barking, but when you're saying that it's complaint, a dog barking is similar to somebody complaining, and it's like, as parents, and I read up on a lot of like parenting advice, but yeah, sometimes the things that our children do, they annoy us or they bother us because of something in us. It's not really what our child is doing, but it's like triggering something in us, right? So I'm imagining it's similar when it comes to our dogs, our pets, right? Like some things sort of trigger us because for some reason we feel like, okay, they should not be making noise because maybe we grew up in a house where we had to be quiet all the time, whatever it is. But it's so powerful that you can go in and you can identify, what is really happening and really use like your intuition, right? Like you were able to be like spot on what was happening and really be able to help that couple, and so that they could not just enjoy their pet, but also enjoy, being together. So that's so
absolutely
wonderful. Yeah. Do you have any final words as we wrap up today? Final words for any dog owners or future dog owners?
So if you do have a dog who has a persistent behavior, I would consider looking at yourself. Limiting beliefs are mirrored by our dogs. They mirror us all the time. If we're frustrated, if we're anxious, they follow us around. You see their anxiety, and then you think in your head. So it's really being present in your head to see how if you're triggering your dog, and don't make yourself bad about it, right? It's an opportunity. Dogs are our healers. They're here to heal us. And so they're mirroring us. So take them on as your healer, and then you will have a fantastic relationship with your dog.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So Heather, where can people go to connect with you, to learn more about what you do, your services?
So my website is happyownerhappydog.com. And then I have a community group on Facebook, which is Happy Owner Happy Dog Community Facebook group. So those are the two places that you can find me.
Perfect. Awesome. So I will share those links in the show notes so that people can connect with you. And thank you again for being here with me as my guest today. Thank you for everybody who's listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review, and definitely connect with Heather if you have a new puppy, a new dog in your life, and you want to have a better experience being a dog owner. So thanks again and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave us a review. And sharing is caring. If you know someone who may benefit from this episode, please share it with them. We need more women up-leveling to their highest selves with grace, courage, and ease. If you'd like to connect with me more and have access to free live trainings and join a community of hundreds of other amazing women, then join my free Facebook group, the Fit Femmes Tribe.